In excess of 20,000 fans here at Sydney's Oran Park Raceway, eclipsing the huge total at last year's round. And haven't they enjoyed a great day's racing? They've seen two brilliant races, particularly that second reverse grid. And it only gets even more exciting in this one, the third and final one. There is the Walker safety car. Despite the incidents today, we've not had call to use the Walker safety car. Let's hope we don't have to in the third and final race of the day. We'll check out the grid for you and see how they'll line up as the cars head out on their warm-up laps. Scaife on pole, Tander alongside him, Greg Murphy and Russell Ingall on row 2, Seaton Longhurst row 3, and Bargwanna and Perkins on the 4th.
And just a reminder, those top 6 positions have been figured out on aggregate of the results of race 1 and race 2, if you're a little bit confused at home. Brad Jones and Craig Baird start out of 5, John Faulkner and Paul Morris, Todd Kelly and Stephen Johnson, Paul Wheel, and Trevor Ashby at 16.
Rodney Forbes and Steve Reed from row 9. Mick Donoher in the Ultra-Tune TDK Commodore on position 19 alongside Neil Crompton. McConville and Doolman from row 11. Rick Bates and Stephen Ellery from 12.
Getting down toward the back now, John Bowe. Boy, he's having a tough season in 2000. Mark Larkham in the wars as well. Craig Lowndes now, as a result of an incident with Garth Tander, they damaged the front suspension. And the team have just managed to get the car repaired in time for him to make the race. Stephen Richards too in dramas, and Steve has got a splitting migraine headache at the moment that is really, really making it difficult for him to drive the car. Anthony Tratt, Paul Radisich in trouble too. Dougal McDougall, boy, there's been some carnage out there today.
Yeah, the where Garth Tander and Craig Lowndes came together, they both had to go up and see the stewards, and there's no outcome. It's been adjourned, so be interesting to hear about that.
Plenty of biffo between those two today.
Yeah.
Holden Racing Team and the Valvoline Cummins operation. Here's the recovery man though. What a great drive through to 7th position. Let's check out the points after 2 races today. Scaife on 72, but look how tight it is behind him for 2nd and 3rd position. Tander on 65 points, Ingall 63, tied with Murphy. Seaton 1 back on 62 and Longhurst on 51. So it'll be very exciting who's going to end up on that podium when we finish this final heat.
Let's hope that Stephen Richards is okay. The medicos checked him over after race 2, as Mark mentioned, a severe migraine, and he was as white as a ghost when he got out of the car. So
he was looking crook as. So hopefully they've given him something to ease the pain. He doesn't suffer migraines very often, but when he gets them, they're beauties. And unfortunately, he's got it this weekend. So Field makes their way up onto the starting grid. Mark Larkham, as you said before, found himself right down the bottom of the order. Has not been a good weekend, but look at his feet in action as he tries to get some heat into those rear tyres. So if you're a little bit confused at home as the finishing order from race 2, those top 6 positions were determined by the aggregate of their performances in both race 1 and 2. And look at that, we've almost ended up in a similar situation to what we had after qualifying originally.
With the exception of Craig Lowndes, who's right towards the back, as you mentioned, Mark. The front 2 rows look very similar, don't they? Although Murphy and Ingall were on row 3 for the first of the day. They move up 1 row, but the front row, there it is, Tander and Scaife, identical in race 1. Now the revs start to rise. Will Tander get the jump on Scaife in the last race of the day in round 9 of the Shell Series? Tander in race start, like a bullet out of the gate. He has flown off the mark. We've got problems there.
Oh, look at that. Paul Morris and Mark Larkham. Oh, whoa, wow.
Oh, geez, I hope he gets out of that in a hurry.
Yes, he's out of it.
Goodness me.
Well, they'll have to stop this.
Did you see the speed of that impact?
Look, it's going over to Paul Morris's
gets out of the car okay here.
Whoa, that's going to go.
Oh, no,
bang.
there's fuel everywhere. Larkham's out of the car. I hope Paul Morris got out.
Well, I don't think he did yet.
Oh, goodness me. I hope the fire marshals get on the scene there quickly.
I think
Here they are.
Yeah, he's out.
Well,
he's out. Ooh,
good work of the fire marshals. They're in there within seconds, but did you see that fuel trail?
And Paul's struggling there. He's not well.
Well, he got a major hit up the back.
Oh, yeah, and
Mark Larkham hit him at full tilt. Did you see the impact there?
Massive.
Boy, well, what a scary moment in the Shell Championship Series. Boy, oh boy, it happens in seconds, doesn't it?
Now the medicos are out there. They're taking a look at.
Did you see the fuel tracking?
Well, that was the rupture. Yeah, the rear fuel cell. They've got an aircraft quality bladder inside those fuel tanks, but boy, there's only so much impact that a fuel cell like that can take. And you can see Mark Larkham just drilled the back of that car. It's still on fire. There's still fuel leaking there. But there was an enormous explosion of unburnt fuel when Larkham speared into the back of Morris's car. It went all over the track.
I wonder what the catalyst was that set all that off.
Let's just
still on fire, Paul Morris.
Let's just hope Paul Morris is okay. He's lying down there. Look at the damage. Goodness gracious me.
And look at the impact of that.
Mitre 10 team worked so hard on this car, and this is not what they wanted, nor Paul Morris either, for that matter. The Medicos are on hand. Let's take a look at the Shell Helix replay.
Now let's have a look further back. Look at this.
Oh, yes.
Perkins stalled.
Oh, look, then that's...
So Larry got stuck. Paul's driven to the back. Look at Larkham.
Oh, God.
And Paul has just sprayed a fuel trail right across the track. And look at the flames start to follow this fuel line along. Look at this. One bit ignites another bit. Look at it. Look at it moving now.
Incredible.
And then it actually reaches Morris's car up into the fuel tank and gets the rest of it. Well, we have got to really praise both the quick action of the fire marshals and the incredible strength and build integrity of the modern V8 supercar. Despite an enormous impact like that, both drivers escaping. What a miracle they both got out. Let's have a look at this again.
Have a look at this here.
Oh, look at the speed that Mark was going when he hits, because he just wouldn't see it.
Now, in fairness to Larkham, yeah, he was travelling in behind, I think it was Stephen Ellery, and his vision would have been quite sort of obscured, quite hard for him to see Morris in front of him.
Look at that fuel trail that's come out of the ruptured fuel tank of Morris's car. Look at this flame. Frightening stuff. Look, it makes its way toward the big Kev Commodore. And Larkham and Paul Morris miraculously walking away from the cars under their own strength. Well, that's a tragedy, but I'll tell you what, you've got to be grateful for small miracles.
You certainly do. Well, the marshals are doing a great job here at Oran Park. Stay with us. We'll be back on the other side of this. Oran Park erupts in a frightening fireball, and this is the catalyst. Contact between Mark Larkham and Paul Morris. You can see Larkham trying to pull himself clear of the car, and then overcomes one of the boys from Cat Racing to get him out of the way to prevent that car erupting any further. Paul Morris. Now, this is frightening, this here, folks. We've got to reinforce he is okay. You'll watch Morris get himself out of the car running on pure adrenaline here. We believe he's been hit in the back by the fire extinguisher system that came adrift of that car and copped that huge hit in the back. The extinguisher, we believe, went flying into the seat. Both of the drivers are in the medical centre and suffering a little soreness. Now, we're going to have a full race restart here. Lights are off in the safety car. It's a rolling start, 15 laps in duration. The circuit is clear. The marshals have done a sensational job here. And Scaife will lead the way. The third and final race.
The reason they've gone for this rolling start, if you're wondering, look at all that dirt and garbage. There's fuel, there's cement dust, all sorts of stuff down there on the track. It wasn't considered fair to make cars start on that. So they've gone for a full rolling start. Scaife takes maximum advantage. Leaps through to the lead. Garth Tander in second position. Murphy up there. Ingle right up his bumper bar. There's Larry Perkins. Look at the battle damage on the back of that car.
Larry was so lucky he got to get a bigger whack than that, wasn't he?
It was Perkins' stalled car that actually triggered that incident. Oh, Brad Jones.
Look at this, Brad Jones and Craig Baird.
Now, if you've just joined us, folks, we should reinforce because of that incident. This race has been reduced to 15 laps. It's a 15-lapper. Baird, look at that car smoking now. John Faulkner up in behind him in the Asia Online Commodore, and things pretty tightly bunched up at the front too. Scaife under siege from Garth Tander. Murphy under fire from Russell Ingle, the enforcer. Winner of race 2 here. Glenn Seaton is up there as well in the Ford, and so too is Tony Longhurst.
Great start from Scaife. He was beautifully positioned coming onto the main straight. Got the hammer down. And you can see the back of Perkins' car there, shunted by Paul Morris, which triggered that massive accident. As we continue, one race, one lap down of this 15-lapper. Mark Scaife, Garth Tander, Greg Murphy in third, Russell Ingle in fourth. Then it's Seaton, Longhurst, Bhagwan, Perkins.
Scaife covering his ground there.
Tander coming around the outside to try and round up the Holden Racing Team Commodore. Craig Lowndes is right down the back. Let's have a look at this on the replay. This incident with Baird and Jones.
Baird down the inside.
A little bit tight on the inside there, I'd say.
Oh, look how close Tander is behind Scaife as they head up over the bridge once again.
Tander is on maximum attack, isn't he? He's so close to Scaife. And Murphy at the moment is playing defensive in the Kmart Commodore from Russell Ingle.
Down through the Pura Milk dip. On toward Rimuela Super Corner. Scaife in command. Garth Tander in second. Watch them as they head towards the O'Brien aluminium dogleg. Things very tight here as well. John Kelly. Oh. Just cut right across the nose of the Mike Holden Young Lions entrant. We go on board with Brad Jones fighting back after that collision with Craig Baird. Wild ride in the back of Todd Kelly's car as they head over that notorious dogleg. The car gets very light. Look at this gaggle of cars, bumper to bumper. Onto the main straight once again.
Stephen Richards fighting his way from the rear of the grid forward. He's suffering a massive migraine and doing very well at the moment. Look at Craig Baird sporting the battle scars. Neil Crompton ahead of him there. Who will give? Baird tucks in behind him as they go into the left-hander at the end of the VB straight.
Lowndes up to 19th position now after starting virtually off the back. You can see him further back in the pack there. After that damage, put him out in race 2. There's the second. Holden Racing Team Commodores. Lowndes now. A lot of work ahead of him to pick his way through this pack. Neil Crompton, car 6, been really struggling with set up this car. Has not got it working the way he wants it at all weekend. Meanwhile, at the front's a different story. Holden Racing Team Commodores, 1, 2, 3 in the battle for the lead.
Now, something's gone wrong with Russell Ingall there. He's dropped out of shot. In fact, he's lost a position as well. I think Glenn Seaton has gotten by Russell Ingall in the Castrol Commodore, so we'll try and find out what's happened there for you. There he is.
Oh, boy, terminal, whatever it is.
I just wonder, there was so much debris all over the circuit. I wonder if he's picked up something. He had a punctured radiator, and he lost his power steering in Heat 1. So he has had some mechanical dramas today. That's an unfortunate way for the enforcer to end his racing weekend.
Yeah, it looks like Tanner's struggling to stay with Scafie now. I thought he was going to give him a hard time the first couple of laps.
You'll notice that a lot of the drivers too are using, now we're getting told incidentally that Russell Ingall is stuck in gear. That is the problem for the enforcer, and he's making his way back to pit lane. A lot of the drivers will be running with the visors down in this one. There'll be tape across the visors as well. The sunlight at this time of the afternoon, a big factor.
Yeah, sun angle gets very, very low. And of course, as the day wears on, it gets worse now. We've had a major delay because of that crash, so the sun will be murder coming through those windscreens, some coming around some of these corners.
But Todd Kelly's having a good go with Faulkner, isn't he?
Yeah, Todd Kelly's been most impressive today. Very good in qualifying. We go back on board with the recovery kid, Jason Bargwanna, with our Walker in-car camera. He's up to 5th position now. And he's been taking us for a wild ride throughout the 3 heats today. Great shots from the 10 motorsport cameras. And look who he's got in his sights there. Glenn Seaton, the pride of the Ford pack at Oran Park. And there is Russell Ingall, jammed in gear apparently. So you just go from the highs to the lows, can't you? In one weekend, one race day even. Russell Ingall, of course, the winner by virtue of that reverse grid situation in race 2.
Barks is really on it, isn't he?
He is flying. He's got so much speed aboard this car. It's a real shame that he didn't qualify well. Monroe profile of 28-year-old Jason Bargwanna, originally from Como in New South Wales, now lives down in Melbourne. 31 championship starts, 2 wins for the Valvoline Cummins team. And hasn't he been an outstanding performer for Gary Rogers Motorsport over the years? This team's been out of luck at Bathurst of late. Hopefully.
It's a great team though, isn't it? Really.
Well, look at them. Tremendous, the fight. Garth Tander maintaining the pressure on Holden Racing Team.
Stephen Richards in the thick of things here between Craig Baird and Paul Radisich. Those guys fighting their way through. We jump aboard with the Rat. There's the sunlight coming through the front window. Richards down the inside of Baird. Radisich comes with him.
Oh, look at the dirt. Baird looks like he's been off again because it's all run very wide somewhere. You can see all the red dust coming from underneath.
I believe the level of competition in V8 Supercar. This is the battle for 19th position between Stephen Richards and Paul Radisich. Radisich, gee, wouldn't he be counting his lucky stars? He managed to pick that gap between the concrete wall and the stricken car of Mark Larkham, managed to avoid any damage. Now finds himself in a real battle with Stephen Richards.
Just ahead of them there on the shot, you can see John Bower. The meat in the sandwich is Cameron McConville in the new Repco Commodore. They head underneath the bridge. Craig Baird coming into the pits, the Stone Brothers team.
More damage to an XR8 Falcon. Well, we see a lot of breakages in that front spoiler section. Just rip that light out.
One would suspect that the officials have probably asked them to come in with that bodywork hanging down like that, Mark.
Yeah. Ross Stone, just there, hard at work. Have a look at the replay.
Oh, look at this. Speedy.
This is the end of the front straight here.
Oh,
how
there.
close is it?
Knock, knock. Not here.
Nudge.
Yeah.
Plenty of elbowing going on there. Meanwhile, Mark Skate, though,
That thing looks so good in there. I mean, you see the suspension set up on that. I mean, it looks so good over the bumps.
I mean, from the moment they hit the circuit in practice on Saturday morning, those cars have looked just so comfortable on the Oran Park circuit. The team have obviously a very good base package, as we mentioned in race one, that they immediately apply to it, and all they've got to do is fine-tune the car, and it looks immaculate, obviously, but it rides the Oran Park circuit so well, and obviously in the hands of someone as accomplished as Scaife, it's so good.
Glenn Seaton in 4th position. Greg Murphy up ahead of him in the Kmart Commodore. A forward-lit in-car camera takes you for a ride with Seaton.
Well, the Murphs had a decent weekend, didn't they?
Yeah. They're sliding around there on the entry to the S's that time around. Shows some B clearance symbol telemetry with Glenn Seaton. A great open face helmet. Had a lot of feedback from that vision we showed from Winton of Seaton motivating himself around the track to take that sensational pole position.
Not the least from Glenn himself, because he didn't know he was saying it.
I think he was a bit embarrassed.
Yeah,
this is, in fact, the dice for 3rd place on the day between both Seaton and Greg Murphy. Seaton trying to wrestle it away from Murphy, and Murphy desperate to hang on to it.
Yeah, well, that battle for the lower positions on the...
Oh, lock her up. Wow, that's a major locker.
That front tyre is on fire.
It's like a 50-cent piece now.
Didn't he have that locked up for a long way? That'll Seaton clunking away, like Baz said, like a 50-cent piece.
And Seaton sensing the opportunity to look how sideways the Kmart Commodore is getting. Murph has been progressively throughout the heats trying to dial out that oversteer in that car, but
it hasn't helped.
Seems they haven't been able to quite do it.
And he's oversteering all over the place. And of course, they're putting an enormous amount of temperature and wear into those rear tyres, and it's a
vicious circle, isn't it?
Between a rock and a hard place, aren't you? Yeah, the more you overheat them, the more you wear them, the worse your car goes.
Now this is a must for your favourites file when you're on the net. The official V8 Supercar website, v8supercar.com.au. There's updated championship points for both the Shell Series and the Konica V8 lights, and the schedule for upcoming rounds, race results, and much, much more. And while you're on the net, make sure you commit this one to memory as well. 10.com.au, Channel 10's homepage. It brings you up to date on the latest news and sport. There's profiles on all your favourite personalities. 10.com.au.
Fantastic battle for 3rd position here. Jason Bargwanna on the charge, closes the gap to the FTR Falcon of Glenn Seaton. Now he's locked in this battle. What a tremendous fight right up behind the back of the Falcon as they get 600 horsepower to the ground, under the bridge, charging down towards Shell Corner once again. Seaton has a look down the inside of Murphy.
And I think he's also...
got him too. Yeah, Greg is really struggling for tyres here. I think they're all shot to bits. Contact between the Valvoline car and the Kmart Commodore.
Oh dear.
Well, you can see Murphy has been struggling for grip there. He's been sliding all over the place like a sprint car. You can see it on those in-car shots. And he's really wrestling to hold this thing on the racing line.
Well, that was 3rd place for the day for Greg Murphy. And now at the moment, Glenn Seaton on course for that podium finish. Both Radicic and Stephen Richards have managed to get around Cameron McConville in the Repco Commodore. This is the battle further back. 16th position, or 17th position, I should say. Paul Wheel, who's had a bit of a disastrous weekend so far, holding down 14th position in the K&J Radiators Ford, just ahead of John Bowe in the Caterpillar Falcon. These guys are just ahead of Stephen Richards.
Well, he may be the man who supplies most of the cooling systems for V8 supercars through K&J Thermal. But boy, he can't get his own package working this weekend. They have thrown everything at that car. Every possible suspension setup they can think of has not made an ounce of difference. They just cannot get the car to work at all.
The motor looks pretty good. Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
JB getting through there. In the background, you notice Rodney Forbes in the Wins Commodore as well. His brother, John Forbes, representing Australia at the Sydney Olympics soon in sailing.
Let's have a look at this incident again. Seaton had a sniff down the inside.
Oh, dear me.
Oh.
Well, it wasn't a lot of room there, was there?
If you're not going to invite me to your party, I'll gate crash. As Seaton gets his way through, continues the attack. He's up in 3rd position at the moment. This is a bit further back in the pack.
Paul Wheel in the K&J Ford. That car seems to be struggling, doesn't it? Because Bowe has managed to clear out of
doesn't look good at all, does it?
And Rodney Forbes.
Whoa. Rodney gets a bit of power on. Coming up over the dogleg this time around. He's really been in the thick of things today. And a few rides across the scenery. Now tries to find a way past the K&J thermal machine.
And the reason he's doing that, Mark, is he knows that in behind him there's a couple of magnets honing in on him. There they are.
Yep.
Stephen Richards and Paul Radisich on the fight back from the rear of the grid.
Rodney Forbes currently 16th. So his mirror's starting to get more and more full of this Kmart Shell Helix duo. So he's stuck right in behind Paul Wheel now. Stephen Ellery back there as well. Look at the quality through this field. Incredible. On board with Paul Radisich, the flying Kiwi. Shell Helix in-car camera. Radisich currently 5th in the Shell Championship point standings. Fighting hard for every point as this team continues to build up to the big enduros at the end of the year, the Queensland 500 and of course the FAI 1000 at Mount Panorama. Radisich has not been able to find a way past the Kmart machine. Stephen Richards, 4 laps remaining for our race leader.
Just to bring you up to date on the situation with both Mark Larkham and Paul Morris, we understand that the Westpac rescue helicopter is on its way to the circuit here. Morris is okay and no doubt being taken away to hospital for precautionary checks. Look at this battle going on here. Murphy has fallen back into the clutches of Tony Longhurst. Murphy struggling. Longhurst sensing an opportunity in the Caltex Haviland Ford.
1988 Bathurst winner, Tony Longhurst. Most experienced driver in the field now. 143 championship starts for the 43-year-old Queenslander. Then we've got Stephen Richards defending us. Stephen Ellery up the inside of the Shell Helix Falcon.
Well, these were teammates, these two, at Mount Panorama Bathurst last year.
What a move. Snuck right up the inside. Very tidy move too. For the Super Cheap Autos Falcon. Showing a bit of speed later in the day. That puts him up to 18th place. So great battles right up and down through the field, as we see so often in V8 Supercar. Tremendous Ford and Holt rivalry here. Rodney Forbes, Paul Wheel, Stephen Richards, Stephen Ellery. Paul Radisich follows him down. Massive crowd here at Oran Park watching the action. Stephen Ellery's really on the charge. He's starting to hustle that Kmart Commodore. Look at those power slides.
Paul Wheel has been struggling all weekend with problems with the front left of the car, and it looks as though they are continuing in this one. He's managing to hang on to that position at the moment, but look at Richards honing in on him at the end of the straight here.
Brake-wise, Greg, he seems to be losing out a massive amount on the brakes. I don't know why for some, because everybody has passed him on the brakes.
Still had his brakes on coming out of the corner.
Yeah.
Stephen Ellery, though, is really fishing for another position. He's right behind the Kmart car. Front spoiler is right on the bumper. Richards' machine as they swing up toward the bridge once again. So it's been a mixed bag for a lot of the Ford teams this weekend. A lot of the teams reporting they just struggled. They could not get the setup right on this car. And it's sadly a situation we've heard so often with the AU XR8 Falcon program. Hopefully the new project blueprint initiative by Tiga to equalise as much as possible the mechanics between the Commodore and Falcon will be rid of that legacy once and for all.
It just looks like Steve's car is going really good now. He can hold a really tight line and everything, and struggling a lot less than everybody else's.
Just to bring you up to date, folks, if you have just joined us, there was a massive start line crash in this third race of the day involving Paul Morris and Mark Larkham. They are okay. Larkham has had precautionary checks at the medical centre here. Morris is about to be flown to Liverpool Hospital in Sydney South here.
Ellery right down the inside, he had everything locked up. Just tried to stick the nose down the inside, managed to get out of it just in time. Stephen Richards wasn't giving him any racing room. So Ellery locked in this intense struggle at the back of the top 20.
Morris, as I was mentioning, is just heading off to hospital there for some checks. He's got some internal injuries, but he's out of the car and is A-OK. We resume this battle. Hasn't Stephen Ellery done a top job here to hold out Paul Radisich?
Well, he's not only holding him out. I mean, he's going at the ones in front as well.
Craig Lowndes continues his charge through the pack. He started off right down the back of the grid. He's now up to 10th place. So he's been absolutely flying in the Mobil 1 Commodore. So the order at the moment: Scape, Tander, Seaton, Bargwana, Murphy, Longhurst, Faulkner, Larry Perkins. Here's the battle between Larry and Craig Lowndes. Perkins up in 8th, Lowndes in 9th, and Brad Jones in the Aussie Mail Ford. He finds himself in the top 10. Lowndes has a run down the outside of the veteran in the Castrol Commodore. Larry fighting hard, though. He's not going to give him without a fight.
Now the over and under. Can Lowndes get back underneath him? Look at this here. There's a Almost a touch between those two. We're heading up towards the bridge. Larry plays defensive in the Castrol Commodore. Brad Jones tucked in behind him there.
And it's the last lap,
yeah.
So there's no way that Larry's going to let him play.
So we're on our way home, folks. Larry sideways again off the bridge. We saw him do that last year, didn't we?
A major save of the day, that was.
Here's Mark Skate, folks. He's going to take out the round. He takes out race 3 as well. Well done to the Holden Racing team. Second to Garth Tander in this race. Glenn Seaton will get third. And Jason Berg won. What about that for a performance? His day started horribly. He's finished 4th in this one. We continue to watch this battle. Look at this. Larry trying to hang on to his position in 8th. Lowndes is in behind him, and Larry will hang on to it. Well done to the veteran in the Castrol Commodore. Lowndes finishing in 8th, Brad Jones 9th. But there's the man who had a 120-point lead heading into this round, and he has just built on that championship lead here again today. Let's recap them for you. Skate winning the 3rd one from Tander, Seaton, Bargwanna, Tony Longhurst, a good result in 5th, Faulkner and Lowndes completing the top 8. Back in a moment.